These three gentlemen take mental well-being seriously, but are not serious. They'd rather swear and make irreverent jokes. Now that you know, the Healy make and mince.
Hello, I'm here, and that's where you are. And we're doing a podcast. Welcome to We're Probably Not Okay, the best podcast we've ever done ever. I'm your host and very best friend, Ryan Brown. Over here, get a load of this guy.
I'm the shepherd of the forest, Brandon Full. But the third guy, he's right down there.
That's where he is.
That's your basement boy, David Musgrave, the man kissed by all angels. It's been a while since I've been the basement boy. I missed it.
Hi guys, what's up?
Hi. What Ryan's here, and he's going to talk about his favorite topic.
Well, let's do our check-ins.
No,
fellas. I know you're desperate to just get it in.
I do.
How about a kiss, boy?
How are you, gentlemen?
Brandon. I will go first.
Brandon,
can we get the podcast voice? I've heard from multiple people that podcast voice is a favorite of theirs.
Okay, hold on.
Looking at you, David.
Brandon does. Okay. Gave it a little stank on the end too.
Yeah, you did. That was good.
And the podcast voice had a little Irish on there.
Yeah.
Hey, Brandon does. Yeah, I've been good for the most part. I mentioned last time, but it's been a catch up kind of, that I started a new job working in the tech industry. There's a cat that's walking across me currently. So yeah, I've just been repairing computers, repairing phones, that kind of shit. Back to basics pretty much. Gonna kind of decide where I want to go from here. I'm only working part-time, so I'm kind of, in a holding pattern right now where I'm just like, what do I want to do?
Working on computers, real Silver Age Brandon stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Just making money, doing things that I enjoy doing, but it's not enough for me to live off of. And I need to realize that, I need to, within the next 2 or 3 months now, I've got to find something full-time. So I have a little bit of time, but...
Is this the kind of job that can potentially become that?
Potentially. It just depends on business, because it's a small shop. Every little bit counts. We have certain budgets that we need to make to cover payroll, and then anything above that is profit.
Mm-hmm.
And we can all look at that as employees there, so that's kind of cool too. Everything's very out in the open.
Oh, that is pretty
which
cool.
I appreciate.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
But yeah, besides that, I got a new graphics card from work yesterday. I was pretty excited about that too. I traded in my old 6600 XT, thumbs down, for an awesome thumbs up 6800 XT.
Are you playing any cool new games on it?
So I tried Satisfactory, which is one of my favorite games on the PC, and it set everything to ultra settings.
Nice.
I was like, God, this is so nice. But my monitor is only a 60 hertz monitor, which means that it can only do 60 frames a second. So if I really want to get the most out of it, now I have to buy a fucking monitor, and I'm in for that. So
gotcha.
Money, right?
Hey. Can't live
what
with
are you going to do?
Oh, wait. That's women. Never mind.
I guess work and get it, I guess.
Yeah. And then I'll have a new monitor.
That's true.
It's all kind of pointless, isn't it? Everything going on.
No. Brandon, come back. Come back, man. Come back. Reel it in.
I'm spinning.
You can't do that. Hey, listen. As someone who's been doing that for the past month and a half, you can't do that.
Yeah. You guys saw my bipolar spin in real time.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That should be a case study.
I know. We saw.
It's the quickest my brain has ever switched.
Seriously.
We saw the color of your eyes change, and all of a sudden it was like, uh-oh, someone grab him.
You really
Duel of the Fates starts playing in the background.
You really had one frame of Brandon where he was normal, and then one frame of existential crisis, instantly. That was great.
One frame where he's just it all just stops one day.
Well, I'm not going to go into it, but it keeps happening back and forth as I think about like just making money and working and how I need money to survive and stuff. There is that little bit of like, with everything going on, what's it even fucking matter?
Right.
But it matters in the sense that I still need to put gas in my car to get places that aren't work, and I still need to put food in my mouth, and I need to put food in my child's mouth and clothes on my child and stuff. So, you know, you got to do it. It's just progressively getting harder when you read the news for me.
It is.
Anyway.
But also too, like, I think, and because I mean, like I said, this is something that I've struggled with a lot too, is, you know, not that I even necessarily believe that it's futile, but the futility of it. And the thing that you also have to take into consideration is like, you matter, and the things that you want matter, just like on a individual level. Like, we care, typically speaking, I think it's fair to say that we as individuals care on a macro level, like specifically the three of us. You know, we care about the human race, we care about our society, our culture, all that other stuff. But sometimes I think we forget that we also matter, like as individuals. Like, specifically Brandon matter, and you specifically David matter, and the things that you want also matter, because they make you happy. Like your new graphics card, like that's a good enough reason, frankly.
Yeah,
that's a good enough reason because it makes you happy.
Yeah.
And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. And I think if you think about it from the perspective of like, if you were somebody else and you, Brandon, were telling this to them, like, would they be like, well, I want you to have that because it makes you happy?
Yeah, they would.
Then you should also, to a certain degree, like, apply that same logic to yourself. Like, you're allowed to want to be happy. You're allowed to be happy. You're allowed to be made happy by things that don't necessarily matter, you know? But I think, I think we lose sight of that, especially like you were saying, like when shit hits the fan, sometimes we feel guilty, you know, like you were saying about, like, you know, getting a new graphics card, you feel guilty about it. I get that. 1000%. I get that, you know, but you also matter. So.
Yeah. Well, do you believe that yourself about yourself?
No.
That's what I'm saying. You make a very good case.
Everyone but me.
You make a lot of good points, and I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
But you gotta take your own advice internally too, my friend.
That's the hardest thing to do.
You beat me to it, Brandon.
Yeah.
But you know what? You also just got a grade A Ryan Brown fixin'. It's been a while since we've had one of those too.
I know.
How'd it feel?
Look at your cat. Your cat heard. I hope your cat heard some of it, because I want your cat to know that she matters.
Caroline, did you hear that? You matter.
She does. Oh,
yeah, dog.
Look at that.
Look at her. Look at the comprehension in her eyes. You can tell. Yeah. So overall, do you like your job?
I do. I like my job. The downside I have is I really like tech, and we get discounts on buying stuff. Because we're a repair shop, we're also kind of a pawn shop, but just for electronics and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of times, unless it's something very high end, we get first dibs on it for what we pay as a pawn shop.
Cool.
Which the downside is that as somebody who loves tech and stuff, like I mentioned last time, you can see the rainbow in my eyes for my keyboard right now.
Yeah, I can see your rainbow keyboard. That's cool as hell.
Yeah. Did I need it? No, not remotely. I didn't need it at all. But I liked it. It made me happy.
Does it make your glasses look awesome on the podcast?
It does. It makes you look like an anime villain. Like you can just see the rainbow in your eyes.
Shing!
Yeah, exactly. You look like Gideon from Scott Pilgrim.
But what about you, David? How have you been?
Pretty good, I guess. Work. I think in our conversation the other day, let you know that work has gotten very, very stressful all of a sudden. But I think that the company I work for, even though it's kind of self-induced stress, we could do things a lot better and there would be less stress. But even so, like, I think the way that my management, my leadership handles certain things, or at least the way that our department is structured, I don't have to absorb a lot of that stress anymore. So I've been trying to really get out of my head and be like, oh, this is the thing that's going to get you fired. Oh, this is the thing that they're going to realize that you don't know what you're doing. All that. I've been really trying to get out of that and just have confidence in myself and realize that I am one of the strongest members of the team. And that, I mean, frankly, you only have to run faster than the guy next to you, right? And there are probably about 4 or 5 people running a lot slower than me. So I ain't worried about the bear that bad right now. But, still some things have happened. I'm not.
You're probably one of the physically strongest people on your team as well, would you say?
No.
No.
No. Hold on. If I had to think about it, I might be the 5th most physically strong.
Out of how many?
Out of like 12.
Okay.
It's not bad.
I'm above average, I guess. Yeah.
Above average,
yeah.
Hell yeah. Remember that. Mm-hmm. There you go.
If nothing else.
If nothing else, you're 5th.
But so there's that, and I don't want to get into a lot of details or talk too long. But some pretty bad things happened in the company overall, not to my department, but in the company overall. And so everyone's kind of feeling like that little extra stress and like, what's going to happen next? And, so that's never a good feeling ever. But from my understanding, again, at least I'm 5th most physically strong. And so when we have to fight to the death to see who can stay employed.
I was going to say, you don't have to listen to anybody strong or weaker than you. That's how it goes. I saw a funny meme that it showed. If you've seen our Always Sunny in Philadelphia, there's this reaction meme that people have of Dennis from that show, like looking like with a look of pure contempt on its face, and there was the text said, "My face when my boss who can't bench press nearly as much as me tries to tell me what to do."
Nice. Yeah, I like that. It's funny. Oh yeah, that's about me. So now, catch us up, Ryan. What's up with you?
Well, everything's terrible, but I guess that's par for the course. I took a little hiatus, largely because things had gotten so out of control in my life, and they're slowly getting a little bit back to normal. I don't know if you guys can see this or not. Hang on. One of the biggest things that's out of control in my life that has become a huge issue is, if you can see over here, that thing.
Oh no! Is that a tiny pig?
It's kind of. That is a pug that we have sort of inherited.
Hey, that's one letter away from what I said.
Yeah.
It is.
And it's a vowel, and there's only 3 of those?
Yeah, it's only a couple of those.
It's basically the same at this point, trust me. My father-in-law had to go live in a skilled nursing facility, and that was his dog that he could no longer take care of. And she is a very elderly pug, and she is wildly incontinent. So
that is always fun.
Sucks.
Yeah.
And the problem is I work 8 hours a day, and then also my wife works 8 hours a day. So for 8 hours a day, this dog just pisses in our living room. So our living room floor is completely ruined. And as an elderly dog, as you guys probably know, older dogs have certain requirements. Not even requirements, just things that they need that younger animals don't. And we're just straight up not able to give that to her because of the fact that we both have to work full time. And it's become we've already spent hundreds of dollars on trying to take care of her, hundreds of dollars that we don't have on trying to take care of her. So we made the difficult decision to there's a local animal rescue where they don't put animals down, but they just have a big old, it's a, what's it called? Animal Friends of North Central West Virginia. That's what it's called. And they do like an animal sanctuary, and we're gonna have to wind up taking her there so she can at least have some quality of life instead of just that's all she does all day is just sits in that little bed and sleeps and gets up to eat and shit on Willow's floor and piss in the living room. And we'll take her out to use the bathroom outside. Like, she knows to use the bathroom outside.
Yeah.
She will. But
she's old now.
Pisses on the living room floor.
Yeah, when they get that age, yeah, they just can't.
Well, now I feel bad.
I think that's
calling it a pig.
No, it's fair. It's fair. Like, it's ruining my life. Like, I'm open.
It sounds like you're making the right decision by taking it to.
I would think so.
Sanctuary, then.
I would think so.
Well, I have a thing about like abandoning people, and so like, as someone who's been abandoned a lot by people, like I have this hard and fast like never abandon anyone rule, and so it's really messing with my internal, systems, so to speak. But I also know, like you said, it's literally like the best thing to do.
Quality of life wise, yeah.
Yeah. But I do have a story that I want to share with you guys. So, as I've mentioned before on the podcast, I had at my previous job, I had a work nemesis who was a real fucking creep, who was a big old racist, misogynist, homophobic, transphobic, just
spanker
piece of shit, who liked to get spanked by his daughter, if you guys recall. And I've told stories specifically, I think, just to you guys that were like buck fucking wild. And I know I obviously told that story on the pod, and I think I've told a few others. But he was my arch enemy. But our arch dynamic was completely unlike any other enemy that I've ever had before, because he wanted so desperately to be my friend. He was so desperate to be my friend. Like, he joined my gym. He found out what gym I went to, and he joined it so he could go when I go.
Yeah, that's weird.
So just crazy shit. Well, anyway, he was the reason I quit the job that I worked at. Well, I still have friends at that job, obviously, and they texted me and were like, he got fired yesterday. And I was like, holy shit, what happened? So, because I went to HR many times in the past about him, because he'd say some like homophobic shit, he'd say some racist shit, he'd say some misogynistic shit, and I'd be like, hi HR, it's Ryan again. So guess what blankety blank did this time? And like, you know what? I'm going to use the name of my previous podcasting foil. If you recall from my friends and longtime supporters who followed me from Nerd Life, I had a podcasting foil on that show, and his name was Ron. So we'll just call him Ron.
Just out of the air, pluck the name Ron.
Pluck the name Ron. So Ron Davis of Four Horsemen Comics and Gaming, he knows I love him. But I said, hey, it's Ryan, just here to talk about Ron again. And eventually, I guess, too much was too much, because I got a phone call from a text message from a friend of mine who still works there, and they were like, "You were never going to believe this shit that happened today." And I said, "Tell me what happened." And they had at the office, they had gotten a new individual, and they were a trans woman, and so Ron was deliberately like using incorrect pronouns and dead naming them, and just generally being a piece of shit about it, but not even like in a way where it's like, I don't understand this. He was deliberately choosing to.
Yeah, that's shitty.
He was like, no, that's a man. That has a dick. That's a man. I'm calling him, her, he, him, and I'm calling him by the name his parents gave him, because that's my right as an American, kind of bullshit.
Oh God.
So the other members of the team who were good people were like, that's fucked up, man. Like, that's transphobic. That's fucked up. The person just doesn't want to be called that. Just don't call them the thing they don't want to be called. It's that simple.
Yeah.
And
right.
The motherfuckers that say, I don't care about pronouns, they care pretty quick when you start using the wrong ones for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So anyway, they're like telling him, like, don't do that. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. He gets really mad. He starts crying, but not like crying like, why don't you guys like me? Like angry crying, apparently. Turns bright red and says, you all shut the fuck up. You have to respect me.
Oh.
You have to respect me. You have to respect me. So they all went to HR.
Yeah.
They all went to HR, explained. They all were just like, hey, HR, it's all of us. Have a seat.
Yeah,
we have a story to tell you. And so then late last night, I get a text, well, like around 6 or 7. I get a text from one of my friends, and they were like, I don't know what's happening, but I walked past Ron's office, and he was packing up his coffee maker or his tea maker in his office. He might have gotten fired. And I was like, listen, I need you to keep an eye on this and tell me as soon as you know anything. And then this morning, I got a text message from like 3 different people at once, and they were like, he got fired.
Nice.
He 100% got fired. And I was like, And then immediately, like, well, not immediately, shortly thereafter, I got a text from somebody else like, hey, you should come back here and work. You should come back here and work now that he's gone.
That was my next question. Are you thinking about going back?
Nah, they already filled my position, and from what I understand, the person they filled it with is pretty cool. So I wouldn't dream of taking that away from them.
Take Ron's position.
That's what I was going to say. You could take Ron's job.
I don't want it. But
I hear people have to respect you in that position. That's awesome.
I heard that. I heard you could just call people whatever the fuck you want to call them, and I heard you can cry and no one can say anything.
Well, apparently not, because hey, there was justice in the world. That's good.
Yeah,
finally,
absolutely wild.
Finally,
yeah. I know. After all this time, and like I've told you guys, like there's some stuff that I haven't mentioned on the pod because my kids listen to this, but like there's some stuff where he has done some truly fucked up stuff to me specifically, where I'm like, bet,
yeah,
I bet no one would convict me. But yeah, so. That was a little ray of sunshine today for me personally.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I really have been wanting to get back into recording. And like I said, things have sort of calmed down a little bit more for me because creating, I've lost over the past, so many of my outlets that I have for my own mental health. I had like, Even for a while, I lost Fallout, and I was like, I just get up and go to work and clean up shit and piss. That's all I do. Like I don't do anything else.
Yeah.
And things have started to level out a little bit, and so I texted you guys, and I texted you guys shortly after I think was that today or yesterday? No, it was yesterday. So I was like, I really would like to get back into doing this. And so I didn't realize you guys had already recorded an episode this week with the phenomenal Bad Chad Good, which would be
the finisher.
Yeah.
The finisher is what we call him now.
Yeah, he's the
Really?
He's the Finnish finisher.
Like I'm the shepherd of the forest. He's the finisher, the Finn finisher.
He's the Finn finisher.
Okay.
That's a working title, so there's still a chance to rename him. But he was talking about finishing wood. So David put it on me to name him, so I called him the Finisher, which is not. It hasn't been super popular yet.
Okay,
David was not a huge fan of it, and I think Chad was kind of like, "Yeah, I mean, we can."
There's a flavor to it that is just, it's a little.
I do like it though. I like names that have the. As far as
the Finisher, and it makes me think of a wrestler. That's where I was thinking.
That's kind of where I was going too.
I'm gonna finish you
with Bad Chad.
I'll get you. I'll finish you all.
I'm gonna finish all of you.
There you go. That when you say it like that, then it sort of implies that
I can see where we're.
There's a flavor to it, like I said. It's
there's a flavor to it,
and it's salty. So, but anyway, I was just like content to just come back and do a just an episode where we sit and talk or whatever.
Yeah.
But David offered this on a platter to me. David, would you like to tell the listeners?
Yeah, well, I think for those of you who A, know Ryan, or B, have listened to this show, realize that there's one topic that might be the best topic for Ryan Brown to speak on from a subject matter, but also from an enjoyment, almost religion at some points, I would say, to Ryan.
Yeah, almost.
Which he's thinking about his shrine right now. Which is, if you are looking at the YouTube version of this you just saw, is Superman. So I'm excited about this because obviously, we don't love dating this podcast, but we're going to date the podcast. There's more than one within your reach, which is pretty awesome.
Within my immediate grasp.
Yeah, you didn't have to move at all.
Yeah.
But obviously with the new movie coming out this summer, having watched the trailers, I've gotten, I like Superman, but obviously nowhere close to where Ryan likes Superman. And I've gotten cold chills watching some of the trailers. So I have to imagine, that, as I've heard a lot of people say, this is the one, which we've heard before, but I think that we're a lot closer to this being the one. I'm excited to see what you think of that movie. So how your hopes and dreams for that, and if you think that will come to fruition. But then also I thought we could kind of go down memory lane and talk about some of the other Superman movies and see what you've enjoyed and what you haven't. So start with that first one, buddy.
Yeah. Okay. So I was very excited, obviously, when they dropped that first teaser back in January. As you guys know, I was very excited. I sent it into the group chat, of course. I sent it in my fucking family group chat, with my mom and dad and everything. I was like, everyone, stop what you're doing. You have to watch this 30-second teaser. And I was very excited, and I was very ooh, this looks. I was very pleased, but the thing that really struck me was what you were saying, David, is people that I showed it to, or people that saw it on their own, who were either casual or didn't really have any kind of emotional attachment beyond sort of tangentially being oh, I like Ryan likes this, I want this to be good kind of thing because he would like it. People were that made me feel something.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a friend who is a very dear friend of mine who just is, that's what it is. It's I know that's your thing, that's cool, I'll go see it with you if you'd like, kind of thing. Not really into comics, not really into that at all. But he was that. He's I don't know what just happened, but that made me cry. And I was it did? Tell me more about this.
Yeah.
And he was it made me feel good. And I was it did? And I was just very pleased with the fact that it's yes, okay. That's what I want. I want people to. I think that there has been a real disservice done to the idea, the conceit of the character over the past 15 years or so, because of. It's not even because it's easy to say ooh, Zack Snyder or whatever, and I even say that as a joke sometimes, but as a bit, but I think that there was this mentality of things being mature or serious, as though cynicism equals maturity. And
what do you think sparked that from DC? Was there a catalyst, do you think?
From
the DC famously with Zack Snyder put out a lot of dark movies.
They did, and I think what sparked it, honestly, is I think some people learned the wrong lessons from. Some people in suits will learn the wrong lessons because it was a combination of things. It's no secret to say probably in the Western canon of fictional characters, Batman is probably one of the most well-known fictional characters in the world.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I think that in the early 2000s, the Dark Knight trilogy, I think they took the wrong lesson from those movies. I think the lesson they should have taken is give every movie its own inherent verisimilitude. Give every movie its treat it with dignity, and treat this subject matter with the intended respect and dignity. But I think what they just saw was like dark. It was dark.
Yeah.
Let's do dark some more.
Yep.
What if every superhero was Batman?
Yeah.
And I remember being when the first Wonder Woman solo movie was coming out, I had a therapist at the time who had a Wonder Woman coffee mug, and she would drink out of it during our sessions. And I asked her, I was like, "Oh, are you going to go see the new Wonder Woman movie?" And she was like, "No, I'm not going to see it." She was like, "It doesn't. She looks like a bad guy," is what she said. And this was like from a layperson's perspective. Like,
yeah.
A layperson, a non-nerd, a normal person saw that, and she was like, "She looks like a bad guy. Like, she doesn't look like Wonder Woman. She looks like an evil Wonder Woman." Which, if you watch the movie, like, she's basically like baseline Wonder Woman, but there was a certain darkness that was present there.
Yeah.
In tone and in aesthetics that is not really inherent to that character or her world.
Right.
Doesn't she stab a dude with a big sword? Like at the end, isn't that, I guess, spoiler for Wonder Woman at this point? She gets a big sword and like beheads a guy or stabs a guy with the sword from.
Yeah, at the end of the director's cut of Justice League, she cuts off a guy's head. But she
No, this was the Wonder Woman movie.
She might. It's entirely possible.
Yeah.
I have not watched the Wonder Woman.
It was one of the military dudes who was like a spirit or something at the very end. But anyway, yeah. And so I agree with what you're saying. When I imagine Wonder Woman, up until that moment, I did not imagine Wonder Woman cutting a dude's head off with a sword.
Right.
But I'm also kind of a layperson for Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman, who's traditionally, obviously she's a superhero, but she's also traditionally depicted as like a warrior. Like, she uses melee weapons, sword, shield, axe, and stuff like that. But the first time I remember when this happened, because this was in 2000 and did Identity Crisis happen? It was in the very early 2000s when Wonder Woman killed a character, like with her bare hands, killed a character in a comic. People were like, "What the fuck?" Like, people flipped their shit because Wonder Woman's not a killer. Like, most, I think it's fair to say most superheroes aren't killers, not usually.
But she is technically like an Amazonian, like a warrior woman.
But yes, she was an Amazonian warrior, and that was kind of how it was played off. And so eventually, people were like, "I guess," but it was a still shocking moment to see that happen because, like you were saying, like that's not something that is typically depicted. And so like even like a Superman that exists in a darker world, I think is fine. I think there is excellent storytelling opportunities when you have a character like Superman in a darker world. Like, you could even make an argument that Superman 78 is a version of that because the world around him is cynical and modern, but he isn't. And so an argument could be made that is a version of that, but having him exist in a dark world and still being a standard of authenticity and genuineness and, compassion is great. But that's not what they did in 2012's, or doing math, 2013's Man of Steel was. They didn't. They were just like, what if Superman was also dark and gritty and shitty? And that, I think, did a tremendous disservice to the character, of course, because that's not the function of that character. Like, if it would be like if you made a totally different Batman in a way that was like, what if Batman was, I don't know, a boy detective who solves crimes and learns valuable lessons and has a talking dog or whatever. Like,
that sounds awesome.
I'm like, I don't know, that sounds cool actually.
Yeah.
But that's not who Batman is, typically speaking, right? So like,
but I want to see that alternate universe version of Batman now.
With the talking dog.
Hell, fuck yeah.
Like a 70s Hanna-Barbera style,
yes.
like young Bruce Wayne traveling the globe solving mysteries and I'm gonna write this down. But anyway, but that's not the function of that character. And so hang on a second. I was tremendously disappointed, especially like at the fucking end of the movie. Spoilers for a movie that sucks shit, by the way. When he straight up just kills a guy with his bare hands, and that's never fucking dealt with, you know, because like if there is one thing that can be said about that character, and the same thing too can be said about Batman, is Superman does not kill. He has no need to kill ever because of how strong, like the stronger and more powerful you are, the more responsible you are for the people around you. And so like that is the principle upon which his character is based. He's stronger than everybody. He's responsible for everybody. He's, you know, it is his duty to protect and defend and preserve life at all costs because he can, because that's simply the right thing to do.
Right. And which the whole point is, you know, anyone else, or not anyone, but somebody else with so much power could easily go the other direction, which is, well, everything else is weaker than me. And so why should I value it? And why should I value life? It's all could be very expendable at that point.
And you see that idea present in things like The Boys or Invincible, which are great shows. Make no mistake. Like, I actually love those shows. And people are like, oh, I can't believe you like that because it has an evil Superman in it. I'm like, well, what makes that interesting what makes that a subversion is the fact that we all know that's not how he's supposed to be. So when we see it, we're like, ooh, interesting. It's not how it's supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah.
And also too, like, I like, you know, I just like superheroes. I like comics on superheroes. Their whole function is to tell morality tales on a Paul Bunyan scale, and that's 1,000% what The Boys is. That's absolutely what The Boys is. It is just morality stories.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, absolutely.
And but I think that I when the first Captain America movie came out, and Captain America was presented in a comic accurate form insofar as like very earnest, very like ethical, and very like compassionate, and not like you would expect from like a movie Captain America, you know, perhaps. But I was like, see, and people responded well to it. People fucking loved it. They were like, what a good guy. Like, why can't people be like that? Look at this paragon of non-toxic masculinity and whatnot. And I was like, see, like, that's what people, I think that there is something to that. Like, people talk about in our pop culture about like superhero fatigue is a phrase that's kind of tossed around because, you know, there's so many superhero movies and TV shows and stuff to varying degree of quality. But I don't think that that's really a thing. And not just for me personally, I just mean in general. Because the good thing about superheroes is they are different from the other people in our society that we admire. Like, for example, like celebrities, professional athletes, you know, musicians, politicians, because they don't fuck up. Even historical figures. You know what I mean? Like, they all, like, fucking cowboys. You look at cowboys, all pieces of shit. Politicians, all pieces of shit. Even the good ones, all pieces of shit. Athletes, most of them, pieces of shit at some point. And that's because they're human beings. They're real life, flesh and blood people who make mistakes and do fucked up shit sometimes. But the nature of superheroes being fictional means that they're pure aspiration. Like, there is no fucked up shit. It's just good guys doing good guy stuff that you can like look at and be like, yeah, okay, you're reminding me that I can be a better person. You're reminding me that the purpose of power is to be shared. You're reminding me that I'm responsible for the well-being of the people around me. You're reminding me of what I owe to everyone else. And so like I don't think on a real like psychological level we'll get tired of that, frankly.
Yeah. Because
I think that that's something that human beings, whatever, I don't know if need is the right word. Grant Morrison, the comic book author, writer, philosopher, magician, seems to think that we won't ever get tired of it because we've been creating larger than life characters that don't let us down for
modern
our
mythology.
entire existence.
Modern mythology.
Yeah, and I think that there is some psychological need that meets. And I don't know.
I absolutely agree, and I will, just because I do want to kind of go through some of these specifically. Want to ask you, so
Please.
Along those lines, do you think this one is truly going to be the one, as people like to say? It feels like so far. It feels different. Well, it feels different, but one of the things that I think was giving me cold chills is I think they actually used the scoring from the Richard Donner Superman, and it kind of brings it back and kind of roots the character in that iconography. So right away you're like kind of getting the emotions and the feelings from that. But then from what I can see, it seems like they've done a really good job of making him patient in a way that I think really exemplifies what the character should be, that I think we've been missing, is in that, like, no matter what, these people don't want to be saved by me. They're turning against me. They're looking at me like I'm not a good thing. And yet that doesn't matter. That's not why I'm doing what I'm doing. And you kind of get that.
Back? Okay.
Oh, sorry.
You're back now.
Oh, okay. What did you miss? All of it?
Yeah, basically, kind of all of it. I'm sorry.
No, all good. I'll sum it up because the audience will be able to hear that, obviously. But basically, just saying that, like, you can see in the trailers that it's going to be these people that I'm here to help protect or don't want it or turning against me, in a way where it doesn't matter because that's not why Superman does what Superman does. And so I'm already getting much more of the vibe of what I've known about the character, and certainly what you've talked about the character from it, but also the emotion of the kind of nerdy callback to that scoring, which is just perfect. Anyway, I think that's why it feels so good and why I got cold chills. And definitely, obviously, people say James, in the hands of James Gunn, it's going to be fine one way or the other, but I don't necessarily know that that's true. But it does feel like it's going to be good. So what are your thoughts? You think it's going to be the one?
Well, I think it's going to be... Okay, so from strictly like a movie-going perspective, I have never seen a bad James Gunn movie, or TV show for that matter. Like, even if you go back all the way back to Slither, like, that's a great
Slither's
movie.
Good. Yeah.
Slither's good, and it's funny. Yeah. And it's like action packed, and it's weirdly heartfelt.
Yeah.
And it's like laugh out loud hilarious. Like, I've never seen a bad James Gunn movie. Like all three of the Guardians are absolute bangers.
Yeah.
The Suicide Squad was a banger. Peacemaker was fucking hilarious and action packed and had tons of heart. But here's what I think is the most interesting, because as someone who's like followed James Gunn's career, like since before Guardians of the Galaxy in his Trauma days, like, one of the things that really interests me is back when he was temporarily fired from Marvel and he came to DC and they said, you can do whatever you want. He said, I'd like to make a Suicide Squad sequel. He mentioned in an interview one time that DC offered him Superman, and he said no, because he didn't think he had an understanding of the character that would make a good movie. And then he changed his mind and he said yes. And I've sort of like watched a lot of interviews with him because I think he's a good guy and I think he's a really talented filmmaker and someone that I feel a weird sort of connection to, just in the tone of his movies. I really feel like he speaks with a voice that I can appreciate. And I slowly sort of watched him because he would talk about, like, well, comics wise, I'm reading this and I'm reading that. I'd be like, good. And over time, and then one day he posted just a picture of a single panel from All-Star Superman, which is universally considered to be the greatest Superman story ever written, and it's the one that I'm always talking about by Grant Morrison. Just a single panel from it, and it's a panel of Superman on the moon, leaning backwards, like sitting on the moon with Krypto beside him, and he's looking at the Earth, like, in front of him. And that panel would go on to become one of the teaser posters for the movie.
Mm.
But when he posted that, I was like, I'm going to get you. Like, I see what's happening here. You're having a conversion experience. I've seen this shit before. You see this on White Lady Instagram all the time when they post like a picture of like their coffee and you sitting beside an open Bible or something. Like, yeah, I know what this is. This is you finding. This is you finding Superman. And then later he said that he announced that he was going to be writing it and directing it, and that it would come out on July 11th, which it turns out was his father's birthday.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and I was like, I like what I am hearing. I like all of this.
Yeah.
And so, and then I would hear these little interviews where he talks about like, because at first they were like, is he going to have the trunks? Is he going to have the trunks? Is he going to have, the red underpants?
Yeah.
And everyone was like, oh no, he can't have. That's so stupid. That's so silly. And then when the suit debuted, he did. And so I was like, I don't particularly care. Like, you can aesthetic, like as long as like the core aesthetic is there, and you can look at a character and immediately tell that's who he is. That's what matters. I think there's wiggle room as far as like design goes.
Not with those trunks. There's wiggle room.
Hey,
but here's the best part. So they interviewed him and they're like, so you decided to do the trunks? And he's like, yeah, but I couldn't for a long time. I couldn't figure out like why. I didn't want to at first, and I talked to like other filmmakers, and they all gave me reasons how like, oh, I don't think you should because of this or that or the other. And then David Cornsweet, who is playing Superman, said like, well, what if he has them because they look silly? And James was like, I don't know what you mean. And he was like, well, he's the most powerful being on the planet. Like, he could punch out a god. Like, he would be terrifying if he existed in our world. So like, what if he has them on there so he doesn't look scary? What if he has them so he looks silly and like kids won't be afraid of him? And I was like,
yeah.
Oh my god,
yeah,
he is the one. And the fact that it was the actor who plays him that says that, and not
good.
like the director / writer, I was like, yes,
that's good.
Yeah,
that's the guy. That's him. That's perfect. That's perfect. Like, that didn't even occur to me. A guy who has like been studying this character my entire life, and I was like, that's. After that, I was like, full faith, 100% full faith in this entire project.
Yeah, right on.
And then they showed like all the pictures of him like playing with kids on the set, like behind the scenes pictures of him. He's just sort of like sitting there talking to like all the little kid extras, and I'm like, that is what I want.
Yeah.
I'm tired of people being like, is this Superman movie too dark to take my kids to? What the fuck are we even talking about?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Is this Superman movie too dark to take my kids to?
Yeah.
I need a rated R director's cut of this Superman movie.
Right.
What the fuck are you even saying?
Right. Well, and I was going to ask you.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I was going to ask you about what you thought about the casting, and obviously Nathan Fillion as Green Lantern. Like, I'm so excited to see how he plays that role.
Perfect. Oh my god. So, like, are you guys familiar with the character he's playing in the movie?
Which Green Lantern is he playing?
He is playing Guy Gardner,
who is very kind of sarcastic, and
he's an asshole.
Yeah, okay.
Like, that is his whole thing. Is he is like not like an asshole, like a villain, because he's ultimately a good guy. I mean, he's a Green Lantern,
right?
So like, you can't be evil and be a Green Lantern. That's
right.
Like, the ring won't work for you,
right?
But like, he's a dickhead. He is like, what if, Sam Kinison was technically pure of heart, and Nathan Fillion, if you've seen, I mean, he's like best friends with James Gunn in real life. Like, he literally puts him in everything. Like, every single James Gunn project has Nathan Fillion in it, except for I think Peacemaker. But the fact that he's playing this like real shitty, like, arrogant, smarmy cop from outer space is something that I am very excited to see how that plays out, because Nathan Fillion is a great comedic actor. Like, he's a great comedic actor.
Absolutely.
And seeing him be him just be like, oh, hey, I want you to be a complete dickhead to everybody.
Yeah.
I think that'll be a lot of fun. Famously, Guy Gardner was punched out because he was, like I said, a real dickhead. He was on the Justice League, and he was famously punched out by Batman in front of everybody. And that's like one of the things he's most famous for is getting cold cocked by Batman in one punch. But yeah, I do feel like this is I think it'll be good. I feel like it's gonna be good, but I also feel like, and I know I am not somebody, and I hope you guys know this about me, but I also hope our listeners know this about me. Like, I'm not somebody who gives things a free pass. Like, something isn't good just because I'm interested in it. Something isn't good just because it's important to me personally. Something is good. All art has to be judged empirically on its merits and faults and virtues, or all art is meaningless. So, like, just because something is Superman does not mean that I'm going to be like, yay, good, thumbs up, I love it. And I think I've made that pretty clear. Like, there's bad Superman media that I've watched and been like, this misses the point entirely, or this was made by someone who had their own issues, or this was made by someone who doesn't understand the character, or whatever. So, like, when I say that I think this is going to be good, I genuinely think that, not just because it's like, yay, another Superman thing.
Well, you hit on some points that we let's see, how long have we been recording now? We've been recording for 51 minutes, so I kind of want to get into something that I wanted to do, which was, I was going to talk about all the Superman TV shows as well, but I think we've got enough time for the Superman movies. So we'll go through those, and I'm just going to kind of lightning round this. I want you to just tell me, real quick, what you like about it, what you don't like about it. And then maybe if you can, you're obviously going to be able to remember this, if you can tell me like the rank in which you like them at the end of it. So starting with the 1978 Richard Donner Superman. I think I know your opinion on this, but
yeah, this movie is my favorite. It's my favorite Superman movie. It's my favorite on-screen iteration of the character. That being said, it's not perfect because there is that one bit in the dead center of the movie where Superman and Lois fly, and she recites that fucking stupid ass poem to him. Be like on par with, in my mind, Ghostbusters, which is the perfect movie. It would be perfect if that one like 5-minute bit was not in the movie because it's so goddamn stupid.
He recites a poem for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm not even joking. Like,
I've never seen the movie.
Well, it's worth watching just from a cultural perspective, but also like this absolutely bizarre choice that was made, where like up to this point you're like, this is great, like this is awesome, and then there's this part where like Lois interviews Superman for the first time, and he like comes to her balcony, like descends onto her balcony, they talk, they have a cute little flirty interview, and then she's like, more or less like she asks him to take her flying, so they go fly. He like carries her and they fly, and while this is happening, while they're like, there's this bit where there's like playing like amazing like John Williams score, and they're like flying together, and he's like showing her like they're flying over the ocean, they're like flying by birds and like, romantic shit.
Yeah.
It's her inner monologue.
Oh no.
And she's like reciting this poem to him about how beautiful and perfect and godly he is. And it drags on for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's odd. That's odd.
And there's no other dialogue. There's no other words. And it's not even her moving her mouth. It's in her mind that you can just hear what she's thinking. And it's the most to Superman. While like some other cool stuff is happening, like just sort of off screen or like behind her, and you're like, what are you guys doing? But yeah, I mean, otherwise it's like a pretty good movie. I mean, even if you average it out, it's still a good movie. But like it would have been perfect if
it wasn't for that one little bit. What about Superman 2?
Superman 2 is fine. Like, there's some really cool, like, iconic bits. Like, of course, everybody knows Kneel Before Zod. Everybody knows, like, the Superman beats up the bully in the diner. Like, you know, cool. It's fine. There are some all of the original like Superman quartet of movies were written before there was really like hard and fast continuity, or even like honestly, there were like hard set rules for his powers. He was treated more like in those movies, treated more like Santa Claus, kind of, where it's like there's a vague overall mythology that you can kind of play with, but there wouldn't be like a guy like me in the audience being like, "That's not how his powers work."
He can't throw his S from his chest.
Right, exactly. Weird shit like that. Or he can't erase people's memories with a kiss.
Oh,
you
weird.
Know?
That happens in Superman 2.
In Superman, yeah, in Superman 2. And then, or in Superman 4, where he has masonry vision. You're just like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, that's...
Like, they gradually get so far away from the first one, which is where so much of the mythology, like literally, if you'll pardon the pun, crystallizes into what we know it as today. Like, so much of what we consider to be like canon to the overall mythology comes from that movie. Like the look of Krypton, the look of like the fortress as like a crystal palace, that debuted in that movie.
Really?
Lex Luthor as a sort of businessman debuted in that movie. Like, he's a criminal, but he's presented as this sort of like, you know, swindler, like businessman type of guy. Later on, it would go on to be refined as like evil billionaire.
Right.
But like in that. But yes, I the original 4 Superman movies are fine. They are silly, and
I need to rewatch
the first
them.
The first one is the only one that I would say is a good movie. In a good, like, from a filmmaking standpoint and from a storytelling standpoint, and like visually, just good movie. Yeah. Superman 2, there are bits and pieces, and then like as they progress, they get like there are fewer bits and fewer pieces.
Well, according to the Metascores, it's 82 for Superman 1, 83 for Superman 2, 44 for 3, and 24 for 4. Which I think
so bad.
I think I've seen the first 3, but Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, I do not believe I've ever seen. So that I might have to go back and watch all of them.
Choice.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is Superman 4 was done, like, Christopher Reeve did that movie as a bargaining chip. Like, he would come back and do this if they donated, if the company Canon Films donated like a shit ton of money to this charity that he was involved with.
Oh wow.
Because, like, he was always, like, a stand-up guy. Like, He was always, like, a really, really good guy. He was, like, a pro... Like, even in the 70s and 80s, before it was a thing, like, he was, like, he was an advocate for the LGBTQ community and, like, just generally a good dude.
Interesting.
Even before his accident. I think Superman Returns is kind of like, from 2006, is kind of a gem. It's... By itself, it is a interesting, like, aesthetically pleasing movie, but there are also some fucking weird choices made with that movie too. Man of Steel, I've talked about before. Man of Steel is like if you had a really kick-ass Lego set and put it together completely wrong. Like, there were some cool bits, even the aesthetic. Like, I thought the costume looked cool. I thought the look of Krypton looked cool. This sort of like weird mix of futurism and steampunk that existed on Krypton that was like, that's a very interesting visual.
Yeah.
And there were things that were present that were never paid off, like Zod's armor being like visually similar to Lex's armor, to where I was like, oh, that's something that could pay off later. Just a lot of like interesting ideas that were just not well done. And I can't ever get past the killing. Like, I'll never be able to get past that. I just won't be able to.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense.
And the fact that it was presented as the ethical choice. Like, to me, that's a betrayal. And I just don't think I could ever... It'd be like if you had that one friend who was super cool and, like, did all kinds of really interesting and fun stuff, but just casually used a slur. You'd be like, no, I can't get past that. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
can't get past that. Like, anything else that I might like about you is null and void because I literally cannot get past this.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right.
And I shouldn't be expected to.
No.
Yeah. And then Batman versus Superman is probably literally the worst movie I've ever seen in my life.
It wasn't good.
Have you guys ever seen it all the way through?
Yeah.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
Like, even just setting aside the fact that movie just weirdly adapts the fight from the end of Dark Knight Returns, but like changes it so Batman wins.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is absolutely, because the whole movie spends the entire fucking movie glazing Batman and like about how wonderful and amazing the Dark Knight Returns is, until they get to the end when in the Dark Knight Returns and Batman and Superman fight and Batman gets his head kicked in by Superman, and then they're like, but let's change it so that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But the fact that the fight ends and they lose all of the animosity when they discover that their moms have the same first name. I saw that movie in theaters by myself because I was not pleased. And I remember just sitting there being like, ooh, okay, yeah, their moms have the same first name, but that doesn't like that's what we're doing. That's what we're going with. Okay.
Here's my question. Has their mom having the same first name ever been a thing in the comics before?
Yeah, I mean, their moms both are
Named Martha, yeah.
But
has
never
ever
been like a...
That is weird that both of their moms are named Martha, though, isn't it? Was it just a
Yeah.
common name at the time those characters were created? I guess.
I mean, they were both created in the mid to late 30s, well, late 30s.
Everybody was a Martha back then.
Hey,
I mean,
can't throw a rock without hitting a Martha around here.
Hey, got a Martha
Yeah.
there, got a Martha there.
It's not, it's just sort of like a weird, I don't know, just sort of like a weird thing that, like a fun little piece of trivia or whatever. But
Yeah.
they hung the entire climax of the movie on it.
That's very odd. That is very odd.
To the point where, and think about like, okay, so culturally speaking, if you have basically one chance to make the death of Superman in a movie and it be like profound and poignant, and powerful. And they did that in that movie. Like they, did the whole like fight with Doomsday, Superman dies at the end kind of thing. And nobody gave a shit. Like nobody talked about it. Nobody cared. Like I saw that movie in theaters. Like my hero, my entire life, like the paragon of my, morals and values, the person who taught me how to basically exist in the world, like my literal first word. I watched him die on screen and felt nothing.
Yeah.
How bad does your movie have to miss the mark for me to feel nothing?
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
He died on screen. But yeah, no, I think there's way more. If you look overall at the franchise of movies, like there's way more misses than there are hits.
Mm.
That being said, like I do feel good about this, but I also feel like culture, like where we are as a society, as a country specifically, like I think we're at a place where we kind of need that right now.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of timing.
Yeah, I think we're in a place that's not entirely dissimilar from where we were in '78 when Superman. I mean, obviously it's more intense now, but like, what have we just had Nixon, we just had Vietnam, we had like all these bad things that had happened that really fucked the country and the soul, and that came out, and people were like, yeah, maybe things will be all right. Yeah. And I'm not going to go on a limb and say this is going to fix us. This is going to, make everybody believe again.
Right.
But like, I think that whatever else, like we're primed for somebody to tell us it's going to be okay. Yeah. And Grant Morrison said that one of the best things about Superman is that he is fictional, and we come up with ideas, like that's what we as in human beings do. And so someone came up with the idea of like nuclear annihilation of all these things, and then someone else came up with a better idea, and it was Superman. Someone came up with the idea of a man who will never let you down, and will always be there for you, and all this, and for whom you're always going to be good enough. And the fact that we came up with that is something profound and powerful, I think. So I don't know. I feel positive about it. I feel good about it. I feel like it's something that, if nothing else, I hope it makes people happy. I hope it makes people feel good about themselves and the thing in the world around them. A lot of the movies, I don't know if marketing is the right word, like a lot of the tone of what they're showing has been like about like not even, I don't know. There's a lot of like unifying imagery.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a
Yeah.
lot of stuff like, here's us together, like we all need this, or we all, you know, need each other, or you can do good too, and stuff like that. And I appreciate that, because that's what that character is supposed to be, what he's supposed to do. He's
Right.
supposed to be there to remind us that we can be better. Like in All-Star Superman, like there's a bit where the spirit of Jor-El, Superman's father, tells him like, you will give the people an ideal to strive towards. They will stumble, they will crawl, they will curse, but ultimately they will join you in the sun. And that's what that character is supposed to be, and that's what that character is supposed to do. And I think that's what this movie is trying to do.
I agree.
And I hope that it's successful.
I agree, because it does kind of show that arc of kind of, you know, people turning against him and then people standing up with him. Like literally that one guy like lifts him up, like and then
him up.
Yeah, in that moment. So like, you don't, obviously that man didn't need to come and do that. Superman didn't need that, but it was the gesture.
Yeah.
And,
right.
But yeah, so I have good hope for it. So, well, I was going to tell you to do your world famous wrap ups. But I kind of think you did pretty well with that.
I think I kind of just did.
I think you nailed it. So,
like I said, you put the quarter in, you got to let the whole song play.
Oh man, if we had, honestly, I love hearing you talk about this topic. So if we had 3 more hours to do it, I would absolutely take that ride all the way to the end of the station and beyond. But unfortunately, we do not. So I think that is a really good place to stop. Anything else, Brandon, you want to add? Ryan, you want to add? I will just say the last thing that I want to say, which is I do hope that, a couple months from now. Wait, when's it come out?
July 11th.
Oh, okay. So next month. I was thinking we had 2 months still. I am hoping next month that we are having a conversation about how it was not just good, that it was great. I really, really, truly hope that.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
I hope so too.
And not just for you, obviously for you, because I think you said other people have said that, like, oh, something Ryan would like. I hope it's good. But because this one does feels like A, we need it, and B, I think it's going to be really good. But we'll see. What were we going to say, Brandon?
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say, I do plan on seeing it. I don't see movies very often. And Superman's not one of my favorite characters. I don't dislike him, but I'm going to see it because of you, Ryan, and I'd like to talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
So when it comes out. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can do a whole episode of it.
Also, one more thing. The name Martha was the 24th most popular name of the 1930s.
Oh, well, there you go.
So not even in the top 10.
That's so interesting.
But still, there's enough.
They still chose.
There's enough that if you threw 2 rocks, you'd hit at least one Martha.
Just that year, there were 77,697 Marthas born. So
that's a lot of
Marthas.
That's a lot of Marthas.
That's a lot, yeah.
Oh.
What if there's any Marthas now?
Oh, yeah. I used to work with a Martha who was like considerably.
Not since the Martha plague.
Oh, no, she's dead now. Never mind. I forgot.
The Martha Purge.
All right. Well, you already wrapped it up, but it's been a while. Why don't you bring us on home here, Ryan?
Well, I think that. Well, hold on. I got to tell a funny story first. Okay. So, as I don't know if everybody knows this, but I know you guys know this. I spent many years in my early 20s working in a comic book store, and I was the manager of 2 different comic book stores, and one was right downtown near the campus of WVU Medicine or WVU, and the at the time, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe was just starting up. Like Iron Man had just come out, and so like superhero movies were like the hot shit at that time. And so like some like journalism student who worked for the school newspaper came to the store to like just talk to people in the store, and he wanted to do like a poll of who people's favorite superheroes were and why. And this kid had to be like at maximum 19 years old.
Yeah.
So he comes in, he asks people, he asks me, and I'm like, oh, I like Superman, he's my favorite, I always have, he always has been. I like that he's an altruistic character. And apparently this kid did not know what altruistic meant, or he had never heard that word before, because the next day in the paper I was quoted as saying that my favorite character is Superman because he is ultra slick. And I was like, what the fuck?
Oh, I knew it was going to be good, but that was better than I was thinking it was going to be.
Why? He's ultra slick.
Why wouldn't you ask for clarification if you didn't know what that word meant?
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well,
take that journey, take that with you, dear listeners, and go forth and do something ultra slick for your fellow man. Yes, do good unto each other, and go see Superman July 11th in theaters.
Yes,
and know that I will be there. Know that I will be there with you in spirit.
Absolutely.
Unless it's bad, then I'll probably be there. I'll probably be online, like talking shit. But I genuinely don't think that will be the case. I genuinely don't think that.
I don't think so.
It's got a dog in a cape. I mean,
yeah,
Rocket Raccoon.
And he shoots lasers.
Yeah.
I mean,
so that's all you need.
That's all you need.
I know. Like the first time, because there was like rumors that Crypto was going to be in it, and then the first time you see him in the teaser, I was like, because that's like the silliness. You have to lean into that shit. You have to lean into it. Like Superman is not a character that is a realistic character. That's not the point.
Right.
You know, he's not fucking John Wick.
Yeah.
He's not. You know, he's there to exist in a hyper unrealistic world.
Yeah, larger than
a
life.
A dog that flies and shoots lasers out of its eyes.
Hell yeah, absolutely. Well, why don't you do the outro? Start the outro since you started the intro, sir.
Well, until next time, keep fighting for truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. I have been your very best friend, Ryan Brown.
I've been Shepherd of the Forest and Ultra Slick Brandon Full. Oh, and finally, down there in the basement, locking the door, finally getting some free time. Who is it?
Hey, it's Basement Boy about to turn off all the lights. David Musgrave, the man kissed by all angels. And we're probably...
a blurry JPEG of Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Oh, man, you just took me back. Anyway, and we're probably not okay.